Okie pokey weirdos, I'm Rev, and welcome to my world of cosplay shenaniganery. My angel dust wig still needs a complete overhaul. Needs more layering, styling, and recoloring. So, let's get to the pieces that I have already completed, or at least 90% completed, because as of recording this audio, I'm not sure if I'm going to get the chest floof exactly the way I want it, because I'm being nitpicky. Let's check out how I made angel dust chest floof and my piggy purse of fat nuggets. May 20th. I'm gonna make some chest floof. I got a big scrap chunk of bed sheet from making mock-ups, and now it is time to trace the boobies. I need enough to be able to have about 1 inch, maybe a little more, probably go 1.5 inches just to save my hiney, and I don't have to recut it, and then enough to completely cover my chest. Up around the neck, fold over, trace around the chest, and about 1/4 inch of seam allowance, but I'm going to trace around my chest first and then add the seam allowance so I don't screw that up while trying to eyeball it with it on my body. Heat erase pin. Tuck it under the boobs and around up my side and looking like a dumbass. Boob shape traced. Now to make it out of fur, I'm gonna add about 1 inch extra seam allowance on the fur, and we'll get to why later. From here, you could add about a 1/2 inch seam allowance and make a channel that you could pull elastic through so that it would cup what you got. However, I'm not doing it that way because I don't have enough fabric and I don't want to take the extra time to do that. This is supposed to be a quicker project for me. The elastic would also help if you don't have much in the way of goodies up top so that it can make it a little floofier. Symmetry. I'm gonna trim this down a little more to fit my neck, but essentially you want to go for a shape that looks like the top of a spoon. Narrow for the neck, wide for the boobies. And I'm gonna iron this because this is driving me nuts. Alright, I have essentially a crop top with an extra long neck piece, armholes, and yes, if you were making Angel Dust's basic cosplay with the suit jacket, then you wouldn't need nearly as much floof, probably about here. However, I'm doing closet cosplays and a lot of variations of his outfits as well as fan arts that I've seen and made myself. So I need more because I have a number of shirts that'll have cutouts around this area in the center of the chest, and I want to be able to see fur coming out of those. I've also made this big enough that this is my template for the fur, and then I can whittle this down to be the right size for the lining. Let's get to the fur. I've laid out a bunch of scraps left over from making Lucy Lace Maker, and now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces, and they match the bodice that I made. Like so. Now I need to cut all these pieces down to the correct shape, stitch them all together, and then cut out the right shape for the chest. After sewing, that's what I got. I had to add a couple more sections of fur because seam allowance. However, now I can cut out the shape I need. Now that I've trimmed down the lining, I have to hand stitch a basting stitch through the wider part here, this bubble, so that I can ruffle it down to the size of the bodice. Basting stitch has ruffled down the fabric, and now I am pinning the lining and the fur right sides together. I'm going to stitch around the outside and then flip it right sides out when I leave this top piece open. Sewn, flipped right sides out. I need to heat removal these little markings. Otherwise, Once you're at this point, you can put polyfill down inside here before folding this over if you want extra floof. But between what I have on my chest, how fluffy the fur is, and how much fluff the ruffling has added, I'm not going to worry about putting polyfill in there. Fold this guy over, stitch it down, and then it'll be time to add the snaps for the chokers. Before folding that over, I'm opting to give him a quick haircut from about here up so that there's less bulk around the neck. I might have broken a needle, but I managed to get it through my machine all the way until it broke. I'm gonna tack elastic to the edges of the bubbles here, and then add ribbon to tie it around my back. The elastic will allow me to have more movement, and then I can dance in this thing. But then the ribbon allows me to not have to spend as much money on elastic, and I can just use little bitty scraps. The Sharpie did end up turning out a little bit darker than I really wanted. I had done a test strip to make sure that it came out lighter, and that had worked. However, on the actual project, it did not. So I did go in with some acetone and lighten up those colors a little bit more. Moment of truth. I let the E6000 dry overnight, and we're gonna see if this holds or if I need to adjust things. This snap on the collar itself that came with the choker is super cheap, so I might have to adjust that and add a different fastener there. Huh? Not bad. I have just floof. I can shift and move and it's not popping loose right away. I still might add some Velcro or something in between the snaps to help have a better grip. And I have the black one. I have my test of putting the tank top that I want to wear for Pride on over the floof to see how it sits. I will likely need to remove some of the seam allowance down inside the fur because it's bulking out way too much around these edges and it's all ripply. So I will have to seam rip a side open, flip it wrong side out again, and then trim off the excess so it's not rippling right here. Otherwise, looks pretty cool. I ordered a Fat Nuggets stuffed animal on Amazon. I did not know I was ordering a Fat Nuggets pancake. Oh boy. Let's get this thing open. Free Fat Nuggets! Trying so hard not to cut him. Oh, there he goes, he's getting fluffy. There he is. Oh, he doesn't just pop up. It's gonna take some time. Come on, buddy. Come on, Nuggy. Well, we're gonna give you a moment, okay? Well, I left him alone for about 40 minutes, and this is what we got. I fluffed him up with my hands a bit too. Not quite as fluffy as I was hoping. Luckily, I was planning to turn him into a purse. Anyhow, he's gonna be a bag. This is Foss Shape. It is the felt-like variation of Warbler, so that you can sew it and then heat it up and it'll become rigid. I am going to copy the shape of this cylinder, which is slightly larger than what I'm going for, to be inside the pig. So hopefully I can fit my phone and my vlogging camera. But it needs to be slightly larger than what I'm actually going for because the Foss Shape will shrink a little bit when it is heated up. Slightly longer than the length I'm actually looking for. And slightly wider. It has now been sewn into my little half tube, and now it shall be dyed pink so that it will blend into the inside of the piggy more so. Bucket of hot water so that it'll also harden some of the foss shape a little more while sitting in the dye bath. And acrylic paints because I don't feel like getting the actual proper dye out at the moment. And we dunk. We're first get it all the way in there. Oh, they're little acrylic chunks. That doesn't matter. It is going to be on the inside of the bag. I just wanted it color, the right color for myself. Most people aren't going to see that. The designers of this stuffy seem to miss out on his My Little Pony-esque heart shape on his right hip, so I remedied that with some felt and fabric glue. It is time to seam rip a piggy! And this little wobble is coming right out. Okay, I might not put that back then so it doesn't get caught in the zipper. Might have to take some stuffing out, not sure yet. Might not. Because I do want him thick, because he is fat nuggets, not pancake nuggets. Oh, I have to take out just a little bit. Let's see. This thing was so poorly made. Look at the tail. It wasn't even seamed correctly. There's a hole in his tail, and you can see the elastic. I really need to make my own when I have the time. Time to look through my zipper box for a little pink zipper. Haha, I knew it was in here. Little 9-inch pastel pink zipper. Perfect. And then I pretty much skipped like 4 steps because it's really hard to record. But here's the idea of what I did. I had 3 layers to sew into Fat Nugget's back. You have the stuffed animals fabric, the zipper layer, and this is what the felt strips were for. You have the stuffed animals back layer, the felt, and then the zipper. Layering the felt in with the zipper and stuffy fabric means that the felt sticks out just a little further than the rest of the fabric on the inside of the stuffy, meaning that I have enough room to connect the foss shape half cylinder to that felt, thus creating a bridge between the zipper lining and the foss shape, meaning that all of the stuffy innards are not coming out and getting into my purse section. Yes, this strap is a little bit short, but I did want it to look like I had him hooked under my arm like Angel Dust normally would carry him, instead of having him ridiculously long and hanging by my hip or having a crossbody bag. While these options are possible, I like the idea of having him hooked under my arm, but then being able to have my arms free if needed. I would greatly appreciate it if you remember those subs, comms, thumbs, and most especially a ding, because then you'll get a notification when I get my Angel Dust wig video out. All you subscribers are my most favorite little weirdos. You can follow along with projects on Ko-fi and Patreon, and welcome to the madness. My neck is freaking skinny.